Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video on my channel. I know it's been a while, but for this video I just wanted to do just a real quick Naruto drawing, how I use a 3D model to draw Naruto. So before I get to that though, I'd just like to remind you guys that I did create a comic book. It's 30 pages of black and white story. I have it for sale on Comic Central. I'll leave a link in the description of where you can get that. It's only $1. It's a PDF, of course. If it ever picks up or gets popular or whatever, I might take it to print. But right now, it's just a PDF. And like I said, I'll leave a link in the description where you can buy that. Please consider buying it, giving it a chance. And so yeah, so what I have here is not Naruto. This is Sasuke, and I'm gonna turn off all these layers here so you can see exactly what I actually did. So I used a 3D model to draw this. I'm trying to. There's the sample. So I'll explain what I do with the sample in a little bit, but you can see it's an anime character or comes from a manga, Naruto Shippuden. So that's the character, and usually I just download a picture of the character from online to get a reference. But so here's the 3D model. And this is I posed them in this kind of standoffish kind of way, and then of course my ink layers where I drew the inks over the 3D model. You can see it doesn't quite match up exactly with the character, especially like when you put on clothes and stuff. And that's all, you know, your artistic talent that needs to do that. So yeah, some stuff like the shoulders, I made them a little bit wider, and of course I put some more width where the belt area is, because just the layering of clothing would I just made it a little bit wider, or a lot wider actually. But yeah, you can see. So like I said, the 3D. Now for the hands, I did kind of stick close to the 3D model, except for the thumb. For some reason, Clip Studio Paint, the 3D models of the thumbs in Clip Studio are not that great, but everything else is okay. Some of the fingers, you know, they're kind of skinny. I make them a little bit thicker, just to give it more roundness. I don't know. Yeah, something with the hands in Clip Studio Paint, they're not perfect. So so yeah, and of course the muscle definitions, like the neck muscles and stuff, those stuff don't show up on the 3D models. That's something what I basically did is pulled up photo references of the human muscle system and went off of that. So like I said, I download a sample from the internet, and I usually take the color samples from this. So you can also see this is not an anime style. This is my style of drawing, and that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to see what the character would look like in my style, not anime. I wasn't trying to mimic anime or manga, whatever you prefer. But here's some of the reference lines that I used. So I usually start out with the blue reference. The blue reference is really more of a body outline, because usually what I do is I do a really rough sketch of the body outline, and then I turn off the 3D model, and then after that I use a red ink to do clothes and stuff. So and again, see, there's the I didn't do a blue trace of the fingers because I just used the 3D model. But as you can see the legs, I didn't do a blue outline of the legs because I knew he wore that kind of wrap around his waist, so the legs weren't really going to be that critical. So usually when I do superhero, American style superheroes, you know, because they wear the tight spandex, I will do the complete blue outline of the body. But for characters like this, with where they have full clothing, I don't always do the whole thing. And I put a little red glow on his eyes because he has those powers, the Sharingan. So yeah, all in all, I think it turned out good. The background, of course, is his family crest. The colors on his family crest on the Uchiha fan. So yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this same technique, but I'm going to oh, and this layer here was for the light. So I put a little drop shadow underneath his left arm there, because it kind of makes things more three-dimensional. As I've been drawing more and more, I noticed that so there's the shadow of his collar on his face and on his hand on that wrap around on his waist. But I noticed as I draw more and color more, actually, that the drawing starts to really pop when you implement some shadows. It really makes things look three-dimensional. And so that's I think that's probably my strongest suit is coloring, which is weird because I've never been really a colorist. I always considered myself just a doodler or a cartoonist, which means, you know, just pencil on paper and that's it. But since I've been getting into Clip Studio Paint, I've been doing the inking and then the coloring, and I think I have a real knack for coloring. So what I'm going to do, because I want to use the same 3D model, I'm going to save this file as Naruto, and then I'm just going to erase all the layers except for the 3D model. And that's so I can keep the same body build for Naruto as Sasuke, because they're kind of they're supposed to be opposites of each other. If you guys are familiar with the manga or the anime, you know that Naruto is the protagonist and Sasuke the antagonist. But so they're kind of yin and yang, and so they're kind of equal stature. But of course, I will change the pose. So I'm just gonna skip this part. I'm gonna get to the part where I have the pose already set up. So I'm just gonna skip this real quick. You're not even gonna notice it. All right. So here is the pose that I am gonna go with. And I pulled up a reference of Naruto, so there is now this reference is kind of gonna give me some problems later, because he's got his jacket unzipped and I need to see it actually zipped up. But I'll show you. So I posed his hand on his hip there, and his left arm, I'm gonna put like one of his throwing daggers dangling off of his finger. But so yeah, you can see there. It's pretty much the same pose. I just tweaked the hand gestures a little bit, and of course the angle of which you're looking at him. But yeah, it seems pretty simple. So all I gotta do is he's got a jacket, pants, and sandals, the headband. So I think what I'm gonna do is just fast forward this video so you can see exactly, because all I'm gonna do now is just the blue outline trace. So all right, so I'm speeding this up. So this is basically how I use a 3D model. I pretty much get the basic stuff, like where the eyes, eyebrows, nose, and mouth are going to be. And then where the neck, shoulders, and pecs are, all that stuff. So as you can see, I'm keeping it really loose, really sketchy. It doesn't have to be exactly tight on the 3D model. Even the fingers and stuff, you don't have to draw them if you don't want to. Maybe you want to put the hand in a different pose that the 3D model doesn't exactly get right. But I think the important thing on the hands is to get the palm, like where exactly the palm is, and where at least the fingers start. So there's the little dagger that I'm going to put dangling from his finger, and of course the legs. And you can also see there's no muscle definition, again, because these characters wear like normal clothing, not tight spandex, so you don't have to get really detailed with the muscles, but you kind of want to get an idea like where the shoulders and pecs are, and the knees and elbows and stuff. So now after that, what I'm going to do is just start, I lower the opacity of my blue sketch, and then I'm just going to start inking, yeah, so I'm going to start drawing the character's face in, and again, it's not a manga style, it's not an anime style, it's basically just my style, I guess. I don't know exactly what you want to call it, but I kind of give him a little smirk. The easiest way for me to create two eyeballs that look the same is just copy and paste. The only thing that I will say is that once you copy and paste it, kind of erase some of the lines on the copy and then redraw different lines on it, just to make it look like you drew both eyeballs separately. And I do that because I want to keep the eyes the same. Kind of gave him a little smirk on the smile, kind of like Sasuke had, but you'll see that I'll change some stuff later. Once I start putting in color and stuff, I'll see that it quite doesn't work for me. So now I'm doing the headband, and what I'm doing is I'm using the line tool. This tool is very helpful if you want to create straight lines for geometrical stuff like buildings and I guess headbands and stuff like that too. It helps out because if you do it by hand, it's kind of hard to get that perfect straight line. So these line tools help out a lot. You can do all kinds of straight line, curved lines, continuous curves, all kinds of stuff. So what you saw there is I copied the bottom line and I took it up, basically because I wanted to get the same curvature. So that's one trick that I use is if I have the curvature of one line and I know it needs to be the same for the other, I just copy it. Now for the hair, I put it in the red, and I created another layer with red ink, and I did the hair there. The red ink for me is usually clothing, but I did the hair because for me hair is a really tricky thing to draw. So I didn't want to put it in the blue layer. I wanted it to be its own thing, and then once I liked it, I'll go over with the ink. And again, these blue lines and red lines are just reference lines. Feel free to deviate from them. It's just for me to get a rough idea of where I want to place some lines. And of course, because this is digital, not even the black lines are subject to being permanent. They can also change. So, but for me, I don't like to sketch on the So there I go changing the lines on the copied eye, just because I want to make it look different. So yeah, I don't usually, or I don't recommend sketching on the ink layer, because it becomes really difficult to erase your lines on when they're mingled with the lines that you do like. So it's much easier just to create a separate layer with different inks. That way you can just draw over them and then put it on the permanent ink layer. So here I am in the red layer again, and I am drawing his clothing, so his jacket and such. Now the wrinkles on the clothing, kind of just making them up. I kind of know, I have an idea of how clothes wrinkle, but if you're not really good at drawing wrinkles on clothes, I would just go online, Google search fabrics to get a reference. I mean, we live in the internet age where we can reference everything at the tip of our fingers. So there's no excuse for drawing bad details on your characters, because you can pick up pretty much any reference. So there I changed the collar. I kind of remember that his collar was big, but that was back in when he was a little kid. This is the older version of him, and his collar kind of shrunk more like a turtleneck now. If you know the character, you'll know that when he was a kid, he had this really wide collar. So I changed that up, and so now I'm just using the inks, going back to the ink layer and just putting the inks over the red lines. So again, these red lines, they're just reference, just so I can get an idea. I don't follow every line exactly. So some lines I do like, some lines I don't. So you'll see me not exactly trace over every red line. And again, if you're not familiar with how clothes wrinkles up or folds over itself, use reference. Go online and use reference. Another thing that I noticed as I've been drawing more and more is that when you draw these folds on the clothes, don't try to avoid straight lines. Keep them curved, like the lines under the armpit and stuff. You want to curve those lines. One, because it helps sell the idea to the audience that there's actually a roundness to his body and not just a straight flat. Because when people see straight lines, they think flat. So to avoid that, make your lines curve. You can see on the top of his right shoulder, he's got some straight lines on the top. Those top wrinkles, they're kind of straight. If I had to draw it or tweak this drawing again, I would round those out just so you can tell that the shoulder is more round. But this is a playback, so I can't really change that. And so now I'm putting in the details of his jacket. And so I go in and out of turning off the reference layers and stuff. And I kind of noticed that his headband was kind of skinny. I wanted to make it wider, but I wasn't sure that it would work. But so I created a copy layer of the ink and I moved it up. And I saw that it worked. So I can just delete the original ink layer and just start working off the copied ink layer with a little modifications here and there. So I kind of liked it, yeah, with the wider headband, how it's supposed to be. And yeah, he has some kind of a symbol or something on his shoulder there. So kind of like two sticks with a round circle in the middle. So here I'm drawing the hand. Again, the thumb in the 3D models of Clip Studio are kind of wonky, so now I'm going to use because I'm lazy, I'm just going to go ahead and just use the fingers of the 3D model. So I'll just trace those. But of course, you know, add your little details and stuff. So you can kind of see the thumb on the 3D model is kind of going through the hip of the 3D model. So I kind of, you know, tweaked the thumb a little bit on the drawing. It didn't really follow the 3D model. But again, like the 3D model is just for reference. So now I'm just doing the reference lines for the clothing. Again, adding some wrinkles, and I know he's got these boots, and he's got some kind of pouch on his left leg. Now the reference that I pulled up from the internet didn't have the pouch on the side. I kind of also pulled up another, I have a second monitor, so I pulled up a second image of Naruto, where he has his jacket zipped up, and again here too, just I just went with the toes, traced the toes from the 3D model. So, and there's a seam down the boot. So that, yeah. So also when I finish this, when I go, I'll probably split this video in two. But when I start coloring, I'll add some more details on the clothing, specifically the seams on the clothing. I found out that the real I guess for my drawings specifically, the real charming part about them, I think, is just the little details that you add, like the little pocket above his hand there. And yeah, so when I start coloring, I'll notice that, hey, the pants are lacking seams, and also see that little thickness on the band there on his leg. So little details like that really help to sell your I don't mean sell like in buying. I mean like convince the audience that, hey, this is a three-dimensional object. This is something that could be real. I'm not exactly sure how the pouch, the details on the pouch, so I'm just kind of making stuff up. I'm adding some thickness though, so everything looks so it gives things form. Yeah, so I'm liking how everything's turning out. Yeah, going back to add the thickness. Wrinkles on top of the boot. Also, when you add the seam lines to clothing, or in this case the boot, you don't want to draw a straight line to draw the seam. You want to add some curves. You can see I added a little curve on the top of the foot there, just to show that the boot, you know, I'm guessing it's leather or whatever, but it has folds on it. So, and the seams would follow the fold, so they wouldn't be exactly straight. Add some little details on the side of the boot, on the sole of the boot. Yeah. So the next thing is the hand. You can see I kind of changed the direction of the thumb. For some reason, in my opinion, that the thumb on the 3D model kind of goes on a weird angle. I don't know why it does that. But I mean, as far as everything else, I think I pretty much keep it the same as a 3D model. Maybe add a little bit of thickness to the fingers, but other than that, I try to make the roundness of this dagger here, or throwing knife. I try to get it as perfectly round as possible. I mean, I know there's a tool, kind of like the line tool, the straight line tool. There's a round tool to make a perfect circle, but I was just too lazy. I didn't want to do it. So now here's where I kind of made the decision. You know what? The character's father has a unique dagger. It kind of has, it's like 3-pointed. So I was trying to, what I'm using here is the symmetry ruler. Symmetry ruler is really cool because you can draw on one side and it'll mimic it on this other side, like a mirror. And that really helps when you want to draw symmetrical objects like what I'm doing here. So I pulled up a reference for his dad's, the character's father's dagger, and so that's what it looks like. I'm just cleaning it up a little bit, adding just slight details to it. I don't know, these details might be too small to see, but yeah. So there it is. There's the inking. What I'm doing now is using the selection tool to select the character, and I create a new layer called flats, which is where I'll put the flat colors, and I just dump white paint on it, and then I change the background to black, and I kind of lower the opacity, and yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed. So the next video I'll color it, and I'll have it probably posted up here soon. But again, thanks for watching. I have a comic book for sale in Comics Central. I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can check that out. Appreciate you guys watching, and hit the like button, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.